Some stories tickle, some sting, and some they crack you open like ripe fruit. Welcome to Crack Within, where real life gist wears no makeup. Grab a snack, press play, and feel something. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys.
Welcome to another story on Crack Within. Today we are going to look into the life of Aderonke and the cost of keeping quiet. When the wall finally cracked, Aderonke knew it was more than just plaster breaking. It was the first honest thing her house had said in months. It was a Saturday evening, the kind where the sky sagged with rain and it was heavy. Her youngest, Timmy, was already halfway to the corner shop, barefoot, chasing bread for dinner. She should have called him back, but she didn't. She just stared at the thin line spreading across the wall, like a wound, like a slow confession. She stirred the okra soup. Her mind was elsewhere. 8 months of unpaid rent and silence from the landlord. That silence, it was louder than any eviction notice. When she first moved in 3 years ago, the room smelled of fresh paint and dust. Kunle, her husband, had lifted her over the threshold like they were in a Nollywood dream. They laughed a lot back then, fought only with soft words. They ate suya from the same paper wrap and whispered plans in the dark. But dreams die quiet deaths. Kunle lost his job. Then he lost his voice. Then one morning, he left with only a Bible and his wristwatch. "I'll come back when I have something to offer," he said. But of course, he didn't come back. Since then, Aderonke had become many women. A mother, a tailor, a caterer, and a prayer warrior. Each job filled a hole, but none filled the bank account. She could afford to be anything except broke. Then the bleeding started. Her daughter, Mui, 12 years old, too young, too much blood, and certainly too fast. At the clinic, the nurse looked tired of seeing stories like hers. "You need a scan, maybe a D&C," the nurse said. Ronke nodded in agreement, but she didn't even know what a D&C was. The scan cost 6,000 naira. And when the diagnosis was made, a fibroid mass compressing Mui's tiny uterus. Surgery was advised. The total? 84,000 naira. But Ronke had just 1,300 naira in her account, 400 naira in cash, and prayers. She went to her church. The pastor prayed, "God will provide." Her friend gave her 2,000 naira and a dress that didn't fit. Her sister in Canada, no response. Kunle switched off. So she borrowed. One place after another. Each loan came with gossip and guilt. When she finally gathered 42,000 naira, half of the total, the doctor looked at her and said, "You waited too long." Waited. Ronke thought within herself. Under her voice, she murmured, "If I had my way, it would have been over since the first day," as if waiting had been a choice. They operated on her daughter and she lived, but Ronke cracked even more. Every call brought shame. The loan sharks she had taken loans from, and even close friends whom she thought were close, just even 1K. "To show you're serious," one of the loan sharks said. Her ringtone became an anxiety attack. Death doesn't knock. It just enters at its own pace, and it takes peace. Then came Sly, one of the loan sharks she had met for a loan, a mechanic turned loan shark. Before she knew it, 20K became 36K in 6 weeks. She paid what she could, but what she could was never enough. Sly said, "People who owe don't deserve peace." That night, she didn't sleep. Then came the message, like a light through a crack. The one thing that made her believe there was still hope. A wedding job, 5 gowns for the bridal train, 15,000 naira each. A total of 75,000 naira. That was certainly enough to pay off loans and have good food. Good enough for a reset, Ronke thought to herself. She borrowed transport fare and crossed Lagos with hope in her chest. She walked through the most uncomfortable conditions to get the dresses ready, in darkness and in sweat. The gowns were perfect. The wedding came and went. No calls, no replies, no payments. The bride's number switched off. Poverty is dishonest. It promises, then disappears. Ronke, heartbroken and confused, sat on the balcony that night and watched a rat eat a last slice of bread. Her mouth tasted like metal. She didn't even try to shoo the rat away. One morning, screams erupted. It was Mrs. Kafaya, the widow in room 9. She had collapsed from hunger and died. They found her with nothing but prayer books and an empty bowl of gari. She refused to beg, someone said. Aderonke wept at the burial because she saw herself in that coffin and she thought, this could have been me. That night, when she got home, she picked up a razor, not to cut herself, but to tear up her debt list. Sly, Iyamurenike, the landlord, the Lekki client, all gone, shredded. She didn't have solutions, but she had resistance. Then she stood up and walked to the mirror and whispered, "You will not die poor." Her face was tired, but her voice was clear. There were no miracles, no lottery wins, just resilience. Slow, stubborn, and sacred. She made akara by the roadside, sold chin-chin in schoolyards, laughed again, and each day she kept whispering, "I will not keep quiet again." And that was enough to begin again. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.